Live in the spirit of surrender, from Compulsory Dancing by Darfri John, also known as Adidas Samraj. You must not have the idea that to be a devotee is to be constantly observing your negative patterns and problems and having insight into them. That is not the practice. That is definitely not the practice. That attitude will simply cause you to manufacture endless negative patterns to observe and manipulate and penetrate with insight. Your business is not to have problems in order to have insights. That is not the way of life I am suggesting. Certainly, you must consider your existence and hear the teaching and see the spiritual master and come to a point of commitment to the way of life. But you are supposed to have already listened to the critical argument of the teaching to the point of hearing. You are to be here as a devotee who lives moment to moment surrendered to God from the heart. The way of life of such a person is not constantly to observe his negative patterns. He considers, enters into, inspects the whole mechanics of his conventional life, but he is not in any sense living a conventional life anymore. He is a devotee. He is practicing surrender to God from the heart. He surrenders in every moment, not just at times of formal devotional practice. Formal devotional and sacramental occasions are times of learning, cultural moments, a way of intensifying the quality of your higher adaptation. But for the devotee, there is nothing singular or unique about formal devotional practices in the scheme of ordinary life. Fundamentally, the practice is a moment-to-moment discipline in direct confrontation with the living reality. Either you live contracted as Narcissus, or you will live surrendered as a devotee. You can either live in the natural state that is prior to reaction to the pattern of things, or you can live the reaction itself. Having considered it, which will you choose? If you choose to surrender, then surrender is your business, not watching your negative patterns. Why should you be waiting to observe negative patterns? And why should negative patterns be significant? As a devotee, you live to be in love, to live in love with God. That is the existence for you. You must live in that spirit with everyone then. You must create real agreements and simplify your life in the areas where complication is just confusion. And you must transform your life altogether into something great through most perfect surrender to God, moment to moment. And you must be able to trust everybody with whom you live to do that also. Therefore, not only must you be converted, but you must also consider and study and make right use of the traditional recommendations of how to spend time in the company of the spiritual master. The fundamental principle of spiritual life that has been communicated by all masters of the past is that the best thing to do is to spend time in the company of a God-realized person. How do you honor that principle if you are converted to God? How do you honor it explicitly? The expression of your relationship to me is utterly an expression of your relationship to God and to this way of life. Therefore, the first relationship that you must transform is the one you have to me. It is in this company, in your association with me that you are being converted. You must not only hear me, but also see me. You must recognize me in this very company and presume a right relationship with me. That recognition is just as necessary as the fundamental conversion. In fact, it is the same thing. A right relationship to me is necessary before you will be able to enter truly into right agreements in your own other relations. First in your marriage, then in your household, then in your community, then in your relations with the world. In the West, we have the idea that even though man may receive the revelation of God, nevertheless, he always fails to act as one who has faith, who communes with God, who is God realized. Westerners do not comprehend the power of grace, the power of mere association with God. That divine association is the truth, the gospel, and it may be realized directly, intimately, bodily. Divine association heals and transforms. Thus, there is no inherent disposition in man to renounce that association, but man, including all of you, is profoundly lazy. It does not seem to you now that you have any choice in how you may live, but you absolutely do have a choice. Yes, you are convicted of sinfulness, but you can be converted in your heart and you can relate to me in an entirely different manner. You can create a sanctuary and a church that has great strength, and you can live a true life and grow spiritually. You can do all of this instead of everything that you are tending to do. Our considerations together should reach a point of revelation, presumption, true practice. However, we will realize that revelation only through the emotional transformation of individuals. How will you relate to your spouse, to your children, to your household, to your total community, to the world? The conversion that is obliged upon you is not the same as deciding to believe in Jesus. The conversion to which you are obliged will change everything about you, change all of your actions. Emotional conversion requires such changes. Therefore, you must change your lives and this church altogether. It will be perfectly obvious what you must do when you are converted. Da, da, da.